Hey, what's up, guys? This is Rich with Red Phone Video, and I'm going to do something new for you. This is something I'm going to call Rec of the Week. This will basically be like a movie recommendation every week. I can't promise every week, but I'm going to try to keep up with it. But this is a new segment, I guess, and I'm calling it Rec of the Week because I'm going to recommend a solid movie to you guys. They may not all be Oscar winners, classics, but they're movies that I like. They're movies that I have a personal affinity for. Like these are movies that I possibly grew up with. So I'm just going to share that with you guys. And this is going to be a little more laid back, I guess. And I'm not going to really get into any kind of like film analysis aspect of the movie. It won't be like any in depth review. I'm just going to talk about the movie and how it affected me. And hopefully, you guys have seen some of these movies. And I'd like to consider some of these deep cuts. Some of them will probably be deep cuts. There might be some, cult classics, but for the most part, I don't know. They could be mainstream movies, but they're basically just recs. These are movie recs, and like I said, I'm gonna try to do it every week. I don't know, but for episode one, this is a movie called The Road Killers, and I don't know if you guys have seen The Road Killers, but it stars Christopher Lambert and Craig Sheffer. And this movie, I think, is pretty rare now. I don't know if you can get it anymore. But a personal story, I saw this movie when it used to come on cable. And it used to come on like Cinemax, Showtime. It was one of those dirty channels. I caught it like late at night. They used to play all these like midnight movies. And this was considered to me a midnight movie. Now, this is a movie that it was produced by, Bob and Harvey Weinstein early in the day. This is an early Miramax movie from 94. So around this time, they would have already done like Clerks, and they were probably getting ready to do like Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction was the same year as this. So this is part of the Miramax repertoire. It's got a lot of people in it. It's got Christopher McDonald, Shooter McGavin from Happy Gilmore, Craig Sheffer from Some Kind of Wonderful, and Christopher Lambert, Mortal Kombat, a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I want to say he's like 10 in this movie. He's really young. Adrian Shelley, who I just talked about in a video recently, I feel like. Yeah, she was in Hal Hartley's films. Adrian Shelley's really good in this. And then you had like, oh God, you had David Arquette. David Arquette's in this movie, and Josh Brolin. Holy shit! It is the list keeps getting bigger. There's a lot of stars in this movie, and for some it was early in their careers. This was like one of David Arquette's first films, and Josh Brolin's really good in this. But to give you guys an idea of what it's about, Christopher Lambert plays this family man, and he's driving across country. I have no idea where they're going. I think they're going to California. But it's Christopher Lambert, his wife, and his daughter. And Christopher McDonald is Christopher Lambert's brother. And his son is Joseph Gordon Levitt. Anyway, they're traveling in separate cars. And it starts out with Joseph Gordon Levitt, and he gets out of the car, and they're having car trouble, I believe. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's like in the middle of the road, and he's looking at this flower that's growing in the middle of the highway there. And Craig Sheffer and his gang is it's Craig Sheffer, it's Adrian Shelley, is his girlfriend. Then in the back seat, you got David Arquette and you got Josh Brolin. And that's the gang. And they're kind of stupid. These are like really stupid guys. They're not inherently evil, I don't think. Maybe Craig Sheffer, but everybody else is just kind of like following his lead, and they're kind of just dumb. But anyway, they're speeding down the highway, and they almost run over Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So Christopher McDonald, Shooter McGavin, he gets pissed off, and then they run into each other at a diner, and everybody's just kind of minding their own business. But Christopher McDonald, he can't leave it alone, and in many ways, he kind of he kind of fuels the fire because he approaches Craig Sheffer and he throws water on him, and he's like, basically just trying to fight him at that point because they almost killed his son, and I understand, but from that point it really escalates things. The tension really escalates, and something terrible happens, and I'm not going to give it away because if you guys haven't seen this movie, you really need to track it down and watch it. And because it gets pretty raw, it gets pretty visceral. I would say there's some disturbing things that happen. There's one sequence involving a car accident that is kind of disturbing to watch, and it shocked me even when I was young. I was just kind of like taken aback by it. So it hits you pretty hard. But I will say this movie is pretty schlocky. It's a little silly, especially towards the end. It kind of gets a little predictable, little hits all those like cliche beats that you would expect in a script like this. But it's from the director of he did that movie Terminal Velocity and Death Warrant. So it's from the director of those films, and I want to say he actually wrote the script for Terminator 3 also. But this was, it almost feels like this movie was cut because I don't know. In some ways, it feels truncated. It feels like it's an incomplete product, but at the same time, it's really riveting. There's a lot of thrilling moments, but I will say that the middle of it kind of lags a little bit. It does kind of lose its momentum, and then towards the end, it ramps up again. Uh, and Josh Brolin is very memorable in this movie. Like his performance is, it sticks out. And Adrienne Shelley is always great in everything she did. Rest in peace to her. Very unique actress, and just a lot of watchable character actors in this. And to me, that's what makes the Road Killers. It's the acting. Now, some people would say that Craig Sheffer is kind of hamming it up in this movie. Maybe I could see that. I could see that he is playing the main villain. And Christopher Lambert to me is never really been. He's never really been that great in my opinion. I liked him as Raiden in Mortal Kombat, and of course Highlander. I have a soft spot for Christopher Lambert, but it's a good thing they didn't really focus on Christopher Lambert as the lead in this because for the most part you spend a lot of time with the gang itself. So it kind of turns into like a Bonnie and Clyde Devil's Rejects type thing. You're spending more time with the antagonist than you are the protagonist. The story starts out with the protagonist, but then you end up kind of, with the gang for the most part. So I felt like the story's a little misguided, script's a little wonky, but this is one of those road movies, kind of like The Hitcher. They don't make stuff like this anymore, and I'm a sucker for like road thrillers. Like anytime there's a story about people going out to California and they're going through the desert, these people are going through like Nevada, Arizona, like New Mexico. I love stuff like that. That's what this movie delivers. It's just a lot of those dry desert landscapes, and I don't know. It's just one of those soft spot movies for me. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I will say this DVD is pretty rare. It needs a Blu-ray because I was watching this recently and I noticed it was in its full screen aspect ratio. It's 4:3, and I'm pretty sure there's an HD version of this somewhere. So I don't know. I hope that somebody gets their hands on this someday. I don't know. It could be a company like Kino Lorber. I doubt it. It is an old Miramax movie, and I know that a lot of those titles have gone by the wayside. They're vaulted. Harvey Weinstein's probably got them locked up in the cell with him somewhere. I have no idea. But it's just a really good movie, and I'd give it like a 3 out of 5. I would say it's enjoyable. Like I said, it really in the second act you focus on the gang a lot. And I think some people find that boring, but if you're a fan of those actors, if you're a fan of like David Arquette, his character is really quirky, and he's like autistic. He plays this idiot savant, and Josh Brolin's even kind of slow, and Adrienne Shelley's just really weird, and all the villains are just highly watchable. The characters are real compelling. It's the story that doesn't fully deliver for me. But I'm not watching this movie for any kind of like twists and turns. I'm just kind of going along for the ride. And I think that's what it is. It's a vibe movie. This is what I would call a vibe movie, if that's even a term. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like you just put this thing on, you have a drink, you have a smoke or whatever. You put this movie on and you're gonna have a good time with it. I don't think it's lackluster. I feel like I've seen some bad reviews on this thing, and I think that's more or less a critique of maybe the acting, and possibly the story, because there's just not much to offer in terms of surprises. To me, there's a lot of like climactic moments, and I would say most of it happens in the build up, because the payoff is not as cathartic as you would think. It ends like you would expect, but there are little moments like with Josh Brolin's character. I'm not going to give it away, and and I feel like it just kind of builds up to ultimately nothing really exciting, but it's entertaining, and the ending is kick ass. But it does end kind of like your typical B movie. It ends in typical B movie fashion. But that is pretty much my rec of the week, and I'm going to try to do more of these. If you guys enjoy it, go ahead and stab the like button and subscribe to my channel if you'd like. The Road Killers, yeah, pick it up, man. This is I don't know, if you get on eBay, you might be able to find it for like $200. I have no idea, but it's out there somewhere, and I'm not sure if you can watch. You might be able to catch this on Tubi, So hunt it down on Tubi. Don't buy the DVD for $300. That's probably what it goes for, because this thing is ridiculously out of print by now. But maybe we'll see a good Blu-ray of it someday. I could see somebody like Vinegar Syndrome doing this. I don't know. We'll see, guys. But I'm just a sucker for physical media, so I think it needs to be on disc. But as of right now, catch it on Tubi. I recommend it. The Road Killers. You've been listening to Rich with Red Phone Video, and until next time, take care, keep watching awesome movies, and I will see you guys on the next segment.